Well, hello, friends. It's Pearl of Wisdom or Steve, whichever one you want to call me. Got my Namaste cup again because you can't be spiritual without a Namaste cup. I guess I'm going to have to start my own cup line, maybe. Hey, the Perlo Namaste cup or something like that. That would be fun. I probably need more than 9 viewers to get that started, though. I'm actually doing 2 videos today because I watched some Russell Brand. I don't know if you know who Russell Brand is, but if you don't, go check him out. I love him. I don't know, his life and my life seem parallel in a lot of ways. He was an addict as well, went through recovery and learned a lot of great stuff. I read his book. He's got more than one book. I'll read more, I'm sure, but I don't know, he inspires me, and so I thought I'd do another video, and I said I was going to do a video on the coronavirus, and so I figure I might as well do that. Why not? By the way, I'm purveyor of spiritual oneness. That's what I'm calling myself now. And I'm no better than anyone, no different than you are. You probably know everything I'm saying. If anything I'm saying here, I'm sure it's in you going, yeah, not because I'm right, but because we all know. We all know. But as far as the coronavirus and how it affects our lives and what benefit, what positive, I've Russell Brand did the positives we can get out of the coronavirus. There's so many on so many levels. First of all, death is not to be feared. We don't have to fear death. That's one. Now, does that mean we go out and make sure people die? No, that would be a very unloving thing to do. I have my personal leans on that. I also, and I could be completely wrong about this, but it seems pretty apparent to me with that things like refined sugar and a lot of things that our medical industry seems to not care that we consume is causing huge problems towards our having a lower immune system. There are those that believe that meat as well does that. I tend to disagree, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that there seems to be a big avoidance with the fact that having a weak immune system in this disease or diseases in general is a very important thing. If there's anything pandemic, it's probably that more than the actual disease itself. But this isn't a dietary video, so I'm not going to go too far into that. Although maybe the reasons why that isn't let out is because there are those that are clinging so much to the security of themselves and believing that that's going to bring them happiness that they are not able to release the truth of it because it will reduce the security of a lot of people out there. Corporations such as Nestle, Kellogg's, people that work for those companies, people that work within that, it goes on and on and on. There's a good example, right? But what I really wanted to get into here, but that's very important too, is that I think that what this virus really does is going to affect the mindset of how we view the world. And you know, if you've been listening to my videos, I talk an awful lot about how we are all one. Now, what exactly does that mean by one? We are one in spirit, but I believe we are one in entity as well, all of us. And what happens to one can happen to all. And is this not virus? Doesn't really show that clearly. There are other things other than this virus that probably doesn't show it as clearly. Negative mindsets. Have you ever noticed how, say, take it into a smaller, rather than global, but just a smaller compartment of us humans in a workplace? Have you ever noticed that if you get people there that start bringing in a negative mindset towards the function of what you as a whole are doing, that it extremely affects each person in some pretty amazing ways sometimes. Even if the people don't follow the mantra that they're spewing, it still becomes difficult on the brain. It's still hard to listen to. Changes the energy. Energy. What is energy? Isn't energy really just spirit? When you're talking about an energy that is pretty much incomprehensible, it's almost unscientific, but people will use the vocabulary all the time. It changed the energy in the room. Well, you can't monitor that. There's no way they say that, well, the barometer of this energy it's not. It's something we just know. So you take that in the small compartment and you bring it to a grand scope compartment. And I believe the virus can make us aware of this. Aware of how aspects of our living and choices affect the all. I don't know if it could be, if you can get too much more clear about that. I mean, even that person who is most unthoughtful towards this type of thing knows now how an event in China, apparently that's where it came from, what happened, an event in China can seriously affect the whole globe, you know? And is that just through a virus such as this? I think not. I think our whole universal thinking affects each individual person. And it affects small groups of people, that affects a whole of people, and so on and so forth. So what is the greatest virus? Is the coronavirus the greatest virus? Is that the greatest virus that's caused the most deaths, I guess you would say, if that is really what we're most concerned about, is the death of people? I find it hard to believe that we are most concerned about that, because the death of people happen all the time. And they happen in great ways that our medical industry, and I'm not saying the medical industry as a whole is terrible or anything like that. I think there's aspects of it that are influenced, let's put it that way. But when we went through the whole smoking thing, where smoking is bad and killing you, and so people are still smoking. It still affects the people around them. Diabetes, this makes it quite clear that there are things that we can ingest that cause problems, but we don't stop it. Is death really? Is that big of a problem? Is that the thing? Is this virus the thing? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, I think that this virus would probably have been not spread at all if it wasn't for the greatest virus, fear. There is nothing to be afraid of. Imagine living in a world where there is nothing to be afraid of. Now, that does not mean there are things out there that may hurt, harm, kill, whatever the case may be. It might be natural disasters. It might be all of those things. Possible. I think it's possible that even those things may not be, if we as a whole universe, as a whole people, were not afraid, did not fear. Caution. Caution is not the same as fear. I don't want to do that because I really don't want to die. Not because I'm afraid to die, but because I feel like it's better to live right now. You see what I mean? Imagine having no fear of death. Having a want to live. So making choices such as not crossing the road with a blindfold on, not because you're afraid to die, but because you feel like it's best to live. How many suicides would there be if we lived in a world where all people wanted to live? None. There wouldn't be any. If your driving force for why you did what you did is because you wanted to continue in your life until the time that you move on to another thing that you have to do, which we now call death. Now, how could we stop this virus? I don't know the ins and outs enough, but something in me, and maybe it's in you as well, something in me tells me that viruses such as this stem somewhere in the fears of all people. That fear is the greatest virus. There was a time when cancer was called the worry disease. Did you know that? I don't know if you knew that, but there was a time when it was called the worry disease. And they actually had studies that said, yeah, it seems to be the people that worry and are anxious the most have this thing happen. That was squashed by the drug industry pretty quick because it's not something the drug industry could solve. So it wasn't long after that there was new studies that came out and said, has nothing to do. Cancer can just come and go to anybody at any time. That's it. Creating a new thought process, creating a new panic, creating a new fear, creating a new thing that probably creates this disease. I really, and I'm just kind of mouthing things as I come along here. Sometimes you just have a feeling, and we got to go with that. I have a feeling that as I'm speaking this to you, that more information is going to come to me in the next little while that's going to compound this and help me realize that it is fear in itself. Taking it from just my little box of my life, I have come to a realization that the things I fear the most tend to happen to me. The more I focus my mind on something happening, it happens. How many times have you said, I knew that was going to happen? You know, you've told yourself over and over, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen to me. All of those things like that. Even saying it like that is basically inviting that fear into you that manifests that exact thing you don't want to happen into your life. Is it possible? Is that possible that we actually manifest things in our life that are harmful? Is it possible that we manifested this disease as a society, as a humanity? We manifest these diseases through our fears. Yeah, it's incredible that one of the greatest ways that people find personal security, for instance, in the advertising industry. In the advertising industry, if you've ever studied it, the first thing they tell you to do is make people need whatever you're selling. What is the best way to make people feel they need whatever you're selling? To scare them. Look at drug companies, or really pay attention to advertising in general and watch how many times that they are trying to convince you to be afraid of not having something in order to have this. It's a sense of lack. Car companies do it all the time. You drive this car, you're going to have freedom. Assuming you don't feel you already have freedom as it is. Or even better yet, convincing you that you don't have freedom where you are. Advertising companies are a wonderful way to find out where humanity lacks freedom. It's, do you feel unsatisfied in your job? Do you feel unsatisfied in your family? Drive this car and it'll take you someplace for satisfaction. It'll manifest your actual desires for you. Truth is, you can manifest your own actual desires. You don't need a car or anything else. But the advertising industry has done a fantastic job of manipulating that truth into a product. That's really what it is. And the politicians, Donald Trump put up a wall of fear in many ways, symbolic of a wall. He made his people made people afraid to not vote for him. He manifested the fears of the people, or created fear into the people, and then said, I can solve that fear. That's advertising. That's what it is. I'm not against Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump. I love everybody. Actually, I love a lot of the things that he's done since he's become president, to tell you the honest truth. And I was not always like that, thinking that way. But, and I don't blame him. He's only doing what he knows with the tools that he has. But it's a really good way to look at where our fears are. If you want to find out where our fears are and how, and a great place to look towards to alleviate those fears, to stop believing in those fears. Sometimes we can't. One of the biggest problems with alleviating fear in our life is identifying what the actual fear is. Study the advertising industry. They'll tell you. They know what your fear is. You might not even know what it is. But they do, because they've studied it. They know what the masses are. And they know how to hit the button of the masses to create a fear that they can solve if they have to. And Donald Trump did a fantastic job of it as well. Politicians do it all the time. It's not just Donald Trump. It's all politicians. Establish what a fear is and then give them a solution to the fear. Companies will call themselves this solution. This is a problem. We are the solution. Quite often, it's just simply a comfort that you didn't realize you needed. So they created you a comfort that you need, that you think you need, and then make you think you need it. And then even on top of that, if they can make you be afraid of not having it, perfect. We've sold it. There's nothing to fear. Nothing. It's not a single thing to fear. Everything we have is all around us. Everything we need is all around us. We live in an abundance of all things. Just money is everywhere, right? Love is everywhere. People are everywhere. Food is everywhere. Everything is everywhere. Nobody can keep it from you. If you believe in the manifestation of a universe created by a wonderful, loving source that is meant that your desires for that to be provided to you was created by that source, it will be there. And you can manifest it simply in believing that that is true. Alleviate all the fears. Advertising industry is really going to be mad if I get popular. Have a great day. Lots of love to you.